give you a quick background. The Philippines is called the social media capital of the world because, on an average, a Filipino spends around 3 to 4 hours daily on social media. So, there are over 90.8 million active users. That increased up to 98 million individuals at the end of 2025. So this shows how the country is clearly mobile first, in which we refer mobile first as the primary and dominant way Filipinos access social media platforms, where there are about 98% are using their mobile phones to access these. Now, let's take a look at the dominant platforms and user behavior. First is Facebook. Facebook still remains as the most powerful platform in the Philippines because it is not only used as a platform to connect with their loved ones, their friends, or family, but also used as a marketplace. Through the Facebook Marketplace, the consumers can also join buy and sell goods where they can check the post or the comment section for reviews, as well as to directly message your brands whenever the user or the buyer has a concern, an inquiry, or questions about the products or services they offer. They can also follow the brand's pages to get more updates such as the product promotion or product releases that they can avail. So my example for this is Jollibee because Jollibee not only succeeded with their product promotion, but they also go beyond by interaction with their customers, with the community building, and the storytelling like this campaign, the hashtag Kwentong Jollibee, that highlights the Filipino values like familial love, sacrifices they made, and as well as their daily struggles. Next up is TikTok, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with. So this has become a major discovery platform because we often or frequently discover new items through viral videos, live selling, and other trend-driven content. So this content or this platform encourages us to get doodled or to impulse buy and to make decision making. So for my example, I actually based this on my TikTok algorithm, which is the local ukay-uki sellers and the home-based or small business owners. So they have gained rapid growth after gaining visibility on TikTok, especially if the recommendations came from the micro-influencers or the relatable content creators because they tend to trust their content more because they see it as real and unbiased. Meanwhile, Instagram and Twitter, or now known as X, has different purposes but still plays an important role in the Philippine social media landscape. So as we all know, Instagram is widely used as a platform to showcase the aesthetically pleasing content where the users or their accounts have different niches such as lifestyle, fashion, and others. While Twitter or X functions as a platform to exchange conversations, to give feedbacks to people or to a brand. And we also use this as a platform to actively share our opinions or to call out or praise someone or a brand publicly. Let's now discuss the dominant platforms and user behavior. First is the makapamilya or family-oriented. So this behavior reflects that we often make purchasing decisions as a group rather than an individual because we prefer to purchase those items that can be consumable for everyone. Family group chats through the Messenger app or Viber acts as a decision-making space because members can send their promotions to their group chat, and one member usually acts as the buyer or the organizer of the group. This behavior also reflects that this explains why group deals or bundle discounts perform well in the Philippine market, especially in the food industry. Second is bargain hunting culture, or we can call it as sulit, because it is closely tied to price sensitivity and economic practicality, because Filipinos are known for being highly value conscious, meaning we prefer to purchase products that has a similar purpose but at a lower price, because we tend to equate the good purchasing decisions while also maximizing the benefits of the product at the lowest cost. For my example, these platforms like Shopee and Lazada generates massive engagement because of their flash sales, their promotions, and vouchers like free shipping. Because they also align with the salary cycle, which is every 15th or 13th day of the month. And it shows how one has the desire to stretch their budget because they want to perceive their purchase as something as worth the money. Third is the strong trust in UGC, or user-generated content. So this stems from the skepticism towards the traditional marketing or traditional advertising, because we prefer those creators that shows the real or relatable unboxing videos or reviews and testimonial posts, because we perceive them as someone similar to ourselves. This also helps us to assess whether the product or service suits our preferences, the local conditions, and our expectations. The fourth one is the direct communication. Another important is this behavior, because we prefer to have a direct communication due to its accessibility and its reassurance, which is why we often use the platform like the messaging app, because it is heavily used for inquiries such as the questions or concerns that I've mentioned earlier, rather than sending these through websites or emails, which is a more formal way to give their message. And I do have a quick question for everyone. Do you think that fast replies are interpreted as good customer service? Yes or no? Yes. If you answered yes, then you are correct, because slow or no responses can discourage a customer to purchase or to avail their services, because as a brand, we should show how we value the customers to create a good customer relationship and for us to provide a positive experience for them, because this can also increase the customer retention, especially in a saturated market. The fifth one is the strong influence of celebrities and content creators, which is also similar to the one I discussed earlier. So this reflects the high level of parasocial relationships in the Filipino culture. So when we say parasocial relationships, this is the one-sided emotional bond formed with the public figure. When a celebrity or content creator also recommends a product, sometimes we naturally assume that this is credible and authentic, which can also lead to the immediate demand in the product and even the product sell-outs. Last is the community-driven decision-making. Online communities and Facebook groups functions as the modern-day word of mouth. And the example for this is Homebodies, which trended during the pandemic because people wanted to have a space where they can improve its interior design. These communities also provide social validation and experiences that reduces the purchase risk or the concerns of the customers. They also carry more weight rather than the brand messaging because they are perceived as unbiased and experience-based. Moving on, in terms of content that resonates, Filipinos respond well to the relatable or humor-driven content. Audiences naturally gravitate toward humor, especially if the content mirrors the everyday struggles and experiences of an individual. Posts that sincerity and personal storytelling are highly valued, especially if these come from a small business or a local brand here. When owners share their struggles and their milestones, their journey becomes an emotional impact for the customers, especially for June's Bake Shop that started as a home-based kitchen or home-based bakery into physical stores around the Philippines. Third is the interactive content, which social media users are highly participative when it comes to this content because it generates direct engagement rather than passive viewing. So examples are the polls and quizzes, the contests, raffles, giveaways, Q&A sections, and live selling. So number 4, the value-assigned messaging. Contents that reflects the shared values create a deeper emotional impact on the audiences. Because this reflects the real-life priorities and the collective identity that helps brands connect emotionally and position themselves as part of the community and not just as sellers. My example for this is my previous purchase on the app Shopee. I recently purchased a necklace from the brand with the present where for every purchase that you make, a percentage goes to charity or a fund to give back to the community, which I also checked on their Instagram last night for proof. They gave the Christmas gifts for the community during December. However, there are also negative behavior patterns to look out for. First is the cancel culture, and second is the fake reviews and influencer fraud. The reason why cancel culture exists in the Philippines is because of number 1, the collectivist culture. So this is because when an individual posts a complaint or negative experience with a brand, it rarely remains personal because it extends to the social circles to join and show support to the victim, resulting in a build-up of public pressure against those involved, such as the brand I mentioned. Second is because of the high social media usage, as a Filipino tends to spend around 3 to 4 hours daily on social media platforms. This accelerates the speed of cancellation with the spread of information to the brand and to the experiences of their customers. So a single post can gain traction within minutes because the screenshots, the reposts, comments can transform into a viral narrative, making damage control difficult for the brand once the momentum has built out. Third is the emotional storytelling, which plays a central role in the cancel culture. Content that frame around injustice, abuse, or disrespect resonates strongly because it is a narrative that's written in a personal tone that also gains sympathy and widespread engagement than the purely factual complaints. The fourth one is the Damayan culture, which we have the instinct to empathize or stand with those who are perceived to be wrong, especially when netizens rally behind the victims for demanding the accountability and apologies of the brand. because we have this strong sense of shared responsibility. And last is the limited access to formal legal resources. We use social media as an effective platform for seeking justice, and an example for this is the Rapid Tulfo in action, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with because public exposure is often seen as a faster way and more impactful rather than filing the complaints because it does take a long time and the processes may be a hassle. So why is Filipino cancel culture different? This can be answerable by two statements. Number one is that Filipinos shares everything. And the second one is we have a strong sense of community protection. A real example pattern of this is when a customer had a bad experience with a brand because they shipped the wrong or defective item without checking it for their shipment. So as a customer, of course, they will feel mad about it because it's their money and they've wasted it. The customer will then post photos or videos that has proofs like videos or photos of the damaged item with a caption warning others. So this post also goes viral quickly because this post tags their friends, their family, and loved ones. That gains 1,000 of shares within hours. If the brand has seen this, they are forced to engage in major damage control because a single post can harm their damaged reputation. There's also a possibility that it happened to more than one customer that comments on the post with the same experience, strongly proving the negligence of the brand. Another factor is the kawawa naman or the victim feel. Because we tend to place ourselves in the victim's position, and we react emotionally first before verifying the details available. We tend to help those someone perceived as weak or mistreated because we see it as a moral duty, not just an opinion. Meaning, calling out the offender becomes a way for us to show our values publicly. Next up is the fake reviews or influencer fraud. This misleads the consumers through bot ratings, fake followers, and promotions that lack genuine reviews. And this is also possible because of the underground economy of the fake engagement. It works because of the fake reviews in the Philippines where individuals or groups are posing as social media services where you can buy their artificially boosting reputation and even simulating the viral customer experiences. Because fake engagement is cheap and is now accessible for everyone, especially if you have the money for it. Bot reviews. If you can see it here, these are generic and could apply to any product because it does not state any of its conditions or it states when it has arrived to the customers. There are also no specific details and it may be also posted on the same day that has no criticism. The second one is the slightly better fake. This is because it includes specific details such as the gender of the receiver, which is the daughter, and the color of the item received. It also mentions the delivery and has the emoji that makes it sound more natural. However, it can still be suspicious because it also mentions all the same detail across several reviews under the similar products. And then the last one is the review fake, which we call the hardest to detect. This one is convincing because of the specific time frame included such as the location of the seller or the buyer, and how they compare it with their competitors. They also mentioned the packaging details and the minor criticism, making it seem balanced because a product with only good reviews may seem too good to be true. However, this is still fake because of the premium reviews closely mimic the genuine reviews that the customer experiences, but they are the most dangerous form of deception in digital marketplaces. So we conclude that Filipino customer behavior in social platforms is deeply shared by emotion, community, and trust rather than by numbers alone. Brands that understand and respect the emotional, social, and community-driven nature of Filipinos are the ones that turn online engagement into lasting loyalty of the customer. That ends my presentation for today. Thank you very much.